Welcome to Lovely T's Kitchen. Today we are going to do Indian tacos. We're going to do our fry bread. It's going to be so yummy. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Today we are going to make Indian tacos, and first we're going to make our chili. We have 2 pounds and 24 ounces of hamburger meat. We have our chili pack. And you want to do 2 of those because it calls for 1 pound of meat. And then you want to get your pinto beans. If you want to do your fresh beans, you can definitely soak them overnight and then boil them the next day. And then you want to get your tomato sauce. So we're going to start with our chili first. You want to make sure you wash your meat really nicely, and then you want to put your skillet on medium heat. You're not going to put a whole lot of salt and pepper because your packet that you have your seasoning in is really salty, and you're going to have 2 of those, so you just want to lightly sprinkle salt and pepper on the meat to taste. So you're going to lightly sprinkle because, like I said, the packet it's really salty, and you're gonna have 2 of them, so you don't want to overdo the seasoning. So just gently sprinkle, and then just stir it up really nicely. Chop it up. We're gonna make sure it gets really brown, and then we're gonna strain it. Always put hot water in your sink and some dishwashing soap, so that way your sink don't clog up when you're draining your food. Okay, so what you're gonna do while your meat is cooking, you're going to put your 1 ounce and 13 ounce tomato sauce in another pan, and then you're gonna put your 1 ounce and 11 ounce of your pinto beans. I have 2 cans. Always wash the top of your cans before you open them because they're dirty. So we're gonna put those in another pot, and then we're gonna put your seasoning, which we have 2 seasonings. We're gonna put this on the meat. So we're gonna put our medium chili seasoning pack. So we're gonna do that, and we got 2 of them because remember it's 2 pounds. So it's a little bit spices. It's got herbs and spices in that, so it's a little bit of heat in there, and it is definitely salty. So be mindful when you season that meat. All right, we're gonna stir our meat up real good, and we're gonna put our beans and our tomato sauce in our pots. And then we're gonna stir that up really nicely, and we're gonna put it on low heat because we want it to do a low simmer. You don't want it to burn or anything like that. We're gonna mix this meat really nicely. Make sure there's no pink in it. It's almost done. Okay, we have already drained our hamburger meat. So now what I did is when I drained the meat, I had coated the bottom of the skillet with cold water because I'm going to mix the packs in there. You're going to put it on medium heat. And then you're going to just open up the package, stir them in really nicely, and then you're going to add it to your beans and your tomato sauce. Get it all in there. And you're going to mix it up really nicely. And you're going to let it simmer for like 3 seconds, and then you're going to add it to your beans and your tomato sauce. So you have your seasoning pack in here, both of them, and you're letting it simmer for 3 seconds. You want it to get mixed in really well. You want it to kind of get marinated into that. And then you're going to add it to your beans and your tomato sauce. And you're going to let that simmer for 10 minutes. So now we're going to go ahead and add it to our pot over here. You're going to go ahead and add it to your pot very slowly. You don't want it to flick and burn yourself. And then you're going to mix it in there really nicely, and you're going to let it go, and you're going to keep it on low heat, because while you're doing that, you're going to be doing something else too. So you don't want it to burn or cook real fast. You want it to simmer nice and slow. So we're going to mix that up really, really well. Get all of that in there. And you're going to mix it up in here really nicely. And get it just really nice. And we're going to mix it up really nicely and let it simmer for 10 minutes. So now we're going to make our rotel. We have 1 can, and then we have a 16-ounce box of Velveeta. We're only going to use half of that. So you want to put plain water in here. You can't really see it, but it's just half of a can of the water. I'm going to add that to that, that way it doesn't burn. And then you're going to put half of your Velveeta in your pot, and then you're going to mix it up really nicely until it melts. So we're going to stir this up really nicely, make sure it's not sticking, because it will burn if you don't pay attention to it. It's very easy to do. We still have cheese in here that needs to melt. And then we looked at our chili. I actually tasted it, so we can put a little bit more pepper and salt. Okay, so now we're going to make our fry bread. We have 2 cups of your self-rising flour, and then we have 1 cup right over here. So we're going to put that in the pan, and then you're going to have your condensed milk, which is going to be 1 cup. You're going to use your Crisco, which is going to be 1 tablespoon, and then 1/4. So now we're going to mix it up really nicely. And we have our milk and our Crisco, and then we're going to mix it until it conforms really nicely. And if you need to add a little bit more moisture in there, which is the milk, just add just a little bit. I wouldn't go too crazy with it, but you do want it to get it wet where it can make a ball. So you do want to make it wet where it can ball up. So mix it up really, really well. So you're going to make sure you clean your counter off really nicely, because now you're going to sprinkle a little bit of the flour on the counter. Sprinkle a little bit. Sprinkle around. And then you're just going to press it really nicely. And then you can make like fry bread and put like cinnamon on it. You can make it and put your taco. You can do whatever you want with it. You can use it as a dessert, or you can use it as a dinner. So it's up to you. Make sure you take your canola oil and put it in your skillet, and make sure you let it get real hot before you put anything in there. You don't want to put it in there and it's not really hot. So you want to make your dough really, really nice. That way it can conform correctly. So you want to just take it and have it like a ball, roll it up in your palm, and then you want to just keep rolling it, and then you want to flatten it, kind of move it around like Play-Doh, move it around, and then we're still waiting on our grease to warm up, so have it really flat, and there you go. Sometimes when you want to make sure that your skillet is hot enough, you want to just put a little bit of flour to make sure. But we just heard it pop, so we know that it's good. So we're going to add one to it. See how that goes, because we want it to get really, really hot. And we want it to kind of float to the top. And we're going to flip it around once it floats up to the top. So it's floating. So we're not going to put too many in there right now. We're just going to kind of test it. We're going to let it go for a little bit. And we'll let it go for a little bit, and then we're going to flip it over. And then we will put more in there, but we're just kind of testing this one so that way we don't mess up our dough. So it's starting to look really, really pretty. So we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to take it out. Okay, so now we're going to flip it over. And you definitely want to spread these out a little bit more. I mean, I'm a little bit too small, but that's okay. We'll just use 2 of them. And then you definitely want to spread them out a little bit. Make sure they get really sewed in and get done. So next time I'll make them a little bit bigger, but they taste wonderful. So now we're going to chop our tomato. And you want to slice each end first. And then you want to raise it up. And then you're going to slice it. And then we're going to just and if you want it to be a little bit more finer, you definitely can cut it a little bit more smaller. I like it like this. And now we're going to put it all together. Here we go, our Indian taco. Yummy, yummy.